not 5'1". Stories connect us, and stories begat stories. If you look on the seats that you were sitting on, you might have sat on a colored piece of paper. If while we're presenting this story box presentation, you have a snapshot or a vignette of a story, and you want to write it down and place it in the story box, or have a time today where you can share your story, we want to encourage you. If you go home and say, oh my goodness, I really wanted to share my story in the story box, you still can do that by going to the Multicultural Center website or going to my website, which is kevincordi.com. I want to tell you a little bit about the project, and I want to tell you 2 stories that come from the project. And in addition to that, I want to share a few stories of my own. The very first thing is, after that person in Brazil said, I really wish we could share our stories, my students packed up the stories that they had of their school, of their community, and they flew it to Brazil with a children's author and storyteller by the name of Heather Forrest. By the time it got to Brazil, Paula Martin of Argentina said, I want that box. And so the people of Brazil, Livia, had all the community put their stories in the box, and then it was flown to Paula Martin in Argentina. By the time it got to Argentina, my friend Meg Gilman in Boston said, I work with Alzheimer's patients. We could use that box to help collect memories. And so the people of Argentina flew it all the way to Boston. I thought this story box was going to travel to one place. But the need for stories kept it going. This story box has been traveling since 1995, off and on to the present day. This story box has spent time in bars, in prison in Colorado. It has spent 7 months in India, where we had to send 2 people to get it back. This story box couldn't get through China's customs. I have no idea why. But people would get the box, and they would celebrate the stories around the box. And so people would send me messages about what they did with the story box. Because an email is wonderful, but holding a story in your hand is a rich aesthetic experience. That's why we have people like yourselves who sit and listen to stories at the ReadAloud. Because we crave stories. It's part of who we are. It's part of what makes us human. So I am very excited to partner with the Multicultural Center, that we have a free storytelling series where we're bringing international storytellers, and that's on the table where you can pick it up and either go to a workshop or hear professional storytellers. Next week, Onuwumi Jean Moss, who's an African-American storyteller and former Associate Dean of Amherst, Massachusetts, and tells stories of authenticity and of the African-American culture. We have Dovey Thomason coming, who is Lakota Sioux, and tells stories of First Nations. And it goes on and on. I'm actually coming March 31st, and who knows what I'll be telling. But stories connect us. And I want to tell you, at one of the gatherings that we had, someone just wrote quick vignettes, and I want to share those with you. This person is Todd, and he said, when I was small, my father used to play a joke on me. He'd give me a mirror and say, look, Todd, there's a monkey in there. I'd always fall for it, and he would get very angry. When I had a child of my own, I figured it was my time to have some fun myself. So one day, I showed my daughter a mirror and said, look, there's a monkey in there. She replied, oh, Daddy, that's just your imagination. And a small vignette, it makes us smile. It makes us laugh. This one gave me pause. And this is by somebody, Emily. 2 years ago, I went to New Zealand for a study abroad experience. It was the first time I had been on the Southern Hemisphere. So on my 3rd night in New Zealand, I asked someone to show me the Southern Cross. His name was Dave, and he was a native Maori from New Zealand. He pointed into the sky, and I saw a massive amount of stars arranged on a way that I didn't recognize. For the next 3 months, I looked for the Southern Cross every night. I never forgot what Dave showed me and how to look for it. Sometimes stories serve as our greatest teachers. A story that I just said on a TV spot, someone named Wen said, I was going to the service. And somehow I broke my leg. And I was laid up for 3 months. And I thought about how easy it is to be broken. How easy it is to hurt. And then I decided right then and there that I would work to be productive and not destructive. If we give people story spaces, they take them, they claim them. Sometimes they change them. Kathy Hunter from Walla Walla, Washington, said, I'm going to take an old folk tale and change it so it talks about the story box. And so she travels all over the place. And it's World Black Awareness Month. And I want to share that story in that vein. In the central part of Africa, there was a man whose name was Kuwuku Anansi. And even though he was half man and half spider, he wanted to be known for something more. And so one day, he spun a great spider web. And he said, I want to be known for something. And he spun his web, and he spun his web. And then he heard a lot of people laughing. I mean, really laughing. And laughing. And he heard people crying so that he could hear it. They were crying. Little bit. Come on. Laughing. Crying, laughing, crying. He said, what is that? What is that? I want that. Something to make people laugh. Something to make people cry. I want that. And all the animals and the people who were talking at the same time said, oh, well, that's stories. That's what we call a story. He said, I want that. He said, you can't have that. Naomi, the sky god, has that. He keeps it in a box, a red box with all things on it. And he keeps all those stories and they're locked up. And you can't have that. They're so small. He said, I'll have it. And he spun a great spider web and he began to climb up that web. And he got up there, and even though he was the smallest creature, he looked over and he said, Naomi, who was as big as a cloud. He was as big as this room. And he looked over. He said, Kuku Anansi, what do you want? I want stories. Anytime someone tells a story, I want the credit. Kuku Anansi, in order for you to have the stories, you must do 3 things. You must bring me Momboro, king of the hornets. I'm this small. I don't care. You must bring me Anani, the great python. You must bring me a Subo, the most ferocious leopard in all the African jungle. He said, are you sure I can't do something? Can I phone a friend? He said, no, you must bring them. He said, all right. And he went down to earth. And he brought with him a calabash, and he carried it, and he scooped it up into the water. And he went up to the tree where the hornet's nest was. And he poured that water on the tree, and he said, run, Momboro. What's going on? What do I do? He said, there's a flood. Run to the safety of this calabash. And he went into the calabash. And he took some dried grass, and he trapped him. And he said, how will I get Anani, the great python? How will I get him? And he yelled out, Anani! and he heard it like an echo. Anani! And out of the grass, Anani, Anansi, what seems to be the problem? Anani, I got a problem. You see, my wife says you're, and he pulled out a bamboo pole. He said, you're dumber and shorter than this bamboo pole. I see the problem. Whatever will you do? How would I measure you? All right. And he went side by side. He said, well, we got a problem. You're shrinking on this side and you're not shrinking on the other side. How about I take this vine creeper and I tie it to your head so you don't move? Oh, okay. I didn't say it was smart. He said, oh, well, you're still moving. How about I take it and tie it to your tail? Oh, okay. And when he knew he didn't move, he took him. And he thought, how am I going to get the most ferocious leopard in all the African jungle? And he dug a pit. It's kind of fun. And he dug this large pit. And he hid behind a tree. Like my tree? And he hid behind this tree, and he ran, and the leopard came and fell into the pit, and we all heard him cry out, ah! I could do this forever. Ah! Come on, raise those voices. Ah! They're going, I just wanted to eat. Ah! And Anansi put his head over the pit. And Asubo said, Anansi, I've fallen and I can't get up. Some of you get that joke. He said, well, I can't help you. You'll eat me. I will not eat you. I promise. I have your word. A leopard's word? Is that any good? I know. So he took it. He said, all right, I'll take this rubber tree plant and I'll move it all the way down, and you put that vine creeper, very handy vine creeper, and tie it to your tail, and I'll spring up and you'll be free. Okay. And so he took the rubber tree plant and he tied it up and he hit a tree instead. Another tree. And he was completely unconscious, so he picked up a Subo, he picked up a Nani, he picked up whoever's next, Mamboro. And he spun a great spider web, and he went up, and he saw Naomi, the great sky god. What do you have? And he presented them all. And he took out a large box that Christina's going to pick up. A large box. And she walked out and shared it with the world. She shared this box, and it was a box of stories. But she found one person in this entire crowd that was going to be the keeper of the box. She handed it to them. She handed it to them. That person stood up, came all the way up here, and the wind began to pick up as she was going down to earth. The wind began to pick up. But she couldn't hold on to the box. They went north. It went all over the place, but she still tried to hold on to the wind. The wind, come on, the wind. And it was going back and forth, and some stories were flying out, and they went north and south and east and west. And that's why we have stories all over the world.